Are you struggling to figure out what to charge for your creative work? Maybe you're afraid of charging too high and then losing clients, or too low and burning yourself out. If that sounds like you, then you're in the right place. Most creatives undercharge because they're afraid of pricing themselves out of work. But what if I told you that pricing your services the right way could actually attract better clients and increase your income? In this video, I'm going to break down exactly how to price your creative services profitably so you can run a sustainable, thriving business. Hi, I'm Corey, a bookkeeping expert for creative entrepreneurs. I help creatives like you simplify your finances, maximize your profits, and take the stress out of money management. Over the years, I've helped countless creatives set up their business finances, and today I'm sharing some of my best strategies for pricing your services profitably. Before we dive in, I've got something so special for you. It's my free guide, 5 things no one told you before starting a business, which will help you take all of these pricing strategies that we're going to talk about even further. I'll tell you how to grab it later in this video, so stick around. Okay, so we're going to get into today's topic now, and we're going to first cover most common pricing mistakes. And believe me, I've made a couple of these as well. I still sometimes struggle with pricing my services just because some things are just really complex. So these are some of the most common pricing mistakes that I've seen and probably made myself. Undercharging due to fear or comparison. We tend to undercharge because we're afraid of losing clients. We're afraid that people will automatically say, no, I can't afford that. I mean, how many times have we heard that, right? So that is the number one biggest mistake, is we are afraid, or we are comparing our services to another business owner in the same industry. And we let that comparison get in and be like, oh, I'm not charging as much as them, or maybe I'm overcharging and people, are going to them instead of me. And so we get in this comparison trap. So 1, we're afraid, 2, we're comparing, and that is just a recipe for disaster, right? So the second common pricing mistake is not factoring in taxes, expenses, or profit. So we have to factor in how much this is going to cost us to make. And you also have to think of the cost in terms of your time. Your time is valuable. And so not just the materials, but also your time invested in creating what you are making. Taxes, it's a part of life, unfortunately, but we have to factor that in. And so my general rule of thumb is factoring in 20 to 30% for taxes. So keep that in mind. And then, of course, your profit. You want to make something at the end of the day. So you've got to factor in getting that profit in as well. You don't want to just break even all the time. And the third most common pricing mistake is charging hourly versus value-based pricing. A lot of customers want value-based pricing. They want it bundled all together, one set price, and be done with it instead of just paying hourly for everything. Okay? So think about that as far as, now there are some instances where hourly is appropriate. I'm not saying that at all, but I think value-based pricing is definitely more strategic to get you higher profitability. Okay? All right. So now we're going to go over how to calculate your prices. Where do I even start? That's a big one. So we need to kind of decide which route we're going to go. Okay? So cost-based pricing. So you want to cover your expenses and give yourself a little bit of a profit margin. Okay? So that is your cost-based pricing. You want to make sure that you have your taxes, your expenses all covered, and to give yourself a little wiggle room to actually make some profit. That will give you some cushion to buy more materials if you need to make more projects, and to pay yourself in the future. We want to look at competitive pricing. So make sure that you are researching other creatives in your field. Now we want to disclaimer this, because if you do too much research, you can kind of get in that comparison mindset we talked about earlier, right? I'm afraid I'm not charging enough. I'm comparing myself to this other business. However, we don't want to not know what we're getting ourselves into when we enter this market. So you want to know what someone is charging. So recently, interesting story, I just started selling some handmade crochet goods. I started crocheting and I thought, hey, let's make this a side gig and let's, make some things for sale. And so I started kind of researching what other people charged for similar items. And so that kind of helps me gauge, okay, am I pricing my product correctly? Am I pricing it within a price range that is reasonable for someone to purchase? But it's also paying for all the yarn and the time and the supplies and the materials and everything else that goes along with it. So you have to make sure that you think about that. So another way that we can calculate pricing is value-based pricing. So we're not just charging for the costs and the materials and everything else, but we are also charging for results, not just the time that was invested in it. So you are giving your client value and you are explaining, like, this is what you're going to get when you work with me. So when I price on my bookkeeping services, I am charging for the results that my clients are getting, not just the time that it takes to do it. Now, that is a factor. I do factor in how much time it will take me each month to complete a client set of books because that's my time and it is valuable. However, I'm also charging for the results that clients get. They are getting their reports every single month, made sure that they are tied out to the penny. They have customer service. They can email me, call me, text me whenever. And they have a call once a month with me if they would like it. I mean, there is a lot of value added when you hire somebody like me to do your books every single month. I mean, I am in those books every single week, if not more. And so that is what I'm pricing my services on, is the value that I bring to my clients, not just the time and expense. Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, how to ensure profitability. So how do you know that you're going to end up making money, right? And I'm going to admit, when I first started, I had no idea if I was going to be making money because I would get advice from other bookkeepers and everything, but I had no idea how long it would take me to complete a client's set of books because I was new at it. And each client was different. And so I've learned over the years on how to gauge a client's books and I kind of know what to expect. But when I was first starting out, I didn't. And so it was really hard for me to ensure that I was actually going to be profitable. So first rule of thumb is you want to factor in taxes, 20 to 30% rule, and your overhead costs. So you want to make sure that that gets factored in first because you want to make sure that you cover all your expenses and those taxes at the end of the year. Next, you can actually build pricing tiers, which is what I have done with mine as well. Now, there is some pricing differences within those packages, but it at least gives clients a starting point. When they come to my website, they see my packages and they see the starting prices and they know, okay, this might be within my budget. Great. And so pricing tiers kind of allows your clients to see what would be a good fit, but it also allows you to include more services, to add more value to those upper end packages to make it more worth their while and your while as well. Okay. And then third, price with confidence and communicate your value. So I'm going to admit I struggled with this one because I was not confident in my pricing because I wasn't sure how long something would take. I was learning and figuring out what to offer, what not to offer. And I think everyone goes through that when they are first starting out their business. They are just learning. And so you want to make sure, though, that you are solid in your pricing and that you communicate your value and the value that you bring to your client. All right. So actionable tips for you to take home. Test different price points and then adjust based on demand. So test a few out, put some at one price and some at a different price and see which goes better. And you can always adjust later, but just remember, test it out and start somewhere. You can also offer packages instead of your hourly rates. Offer packages instead of hourly rate. And then communicate the value, not just the deliverables. So make sure your clients understand the entire package and the entire value that you bring to your work and what they will receive in return as well. All right. If you want to take the guesswork out of pricing, don't forget to grab my free guide, 5 Things No One Tells You About Starting a Business. Walks you through step-by-step things that probably nobody ever mentioned and things to keep in mind. So even if you've already started your business, it's super helpful to new business owners. So the link is in the description below. You can get that for free. Just hit that link. Pricing your services profitably is all about knowing your worth, covering your costs, and charging based on value, not just time. Let me know in the comments what's been your biggest struggle with pricing. And if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell for creative business tips. See you next time.